In this video, I'm going to talk about how jargon or overly complicated language can actually make your writing worse. It can make it harder to read, and some things that you can do about that. My name is Julia Gray. I'm an award-winning writer and educator, and if you are looking for writing support, you have found the right channel. So what do I mean by being complicated with writing or using jargon or using complicated words? Now, this is something that I see a lot in academic writing, and sometimes I also see it in creative writing, but in this video, I'm actually going to talk mostly about professional writing. And I think in the professional context, people do this, I think, because they want to be taken more seriously. They have a certain idea of what professional, quotes, professional means, and they try and kind of have their language meet whatever their assumptions are about what it means to be taken seriously or what it means to write in a professional way. And so they're relying on jargon, or they're relying on more complicated language, or even on sentence structures that aren't direct, that are kind of going in circles or kind of meandering. And it just makes the writing ultimately, as the reader, harder to read. The reader really has a harder time understanding what the heck it is that you're just trying to say. So now that I've said all that, I mean, sometimes in maybe an academic context or in a creative writing kind of context, you may want your reader to work a little bit harder. Like I'm thinking of, in an academic context specifically, if you're trying to get at an idea that is very nuanced, or there's a particular sort of new philosophical way that you're trying to understand a particular concept, it may be helpful to use language that is sophisticated or that is a little more dense, and you want your reader to work a little harder to try and for them to really understand the idea in a different way. That's possible. But as a general rule, in professional writing, you want to be straightforward and direct. In the professional context, people are extremely busy. They're likely trying to remember 18 million different things, and you don't want to give them more work by being complicated. So what do I mean when I'm saying be straightforward with your writing? There's a couple of things. The first is to be transparent. You don't want your reader to be slogging through all of this very opaque language. And the second thing is to be direct. You don't want your reader to have to try and figure out what it is that you're trying to say. You want it to be quite direct and more obvious. If you're listening to this video and you're reflecting and you're thinking, yeah, that kind of sounds like me. I'm worried that I don't sound professional enough, or that I'm not going to be taken seriously in the professional world. That's me. And if that is you, the reasons for that could be a whole other video. I'm not going to get into that right now. But if you're reflecting and you think, yeah, that's me, and I can also see that translates into me using language that might be a bit obscure, might be kind of jargon heavy. If that's you, I have a couple of things that you can try. The first thing that I like to do is actually imagine a very specific person in my mind and try and explain whatever it is that I'm trying to explain to that specific person. Sometimes in professional writing, it can feel a bit like you're just plunking words out into your computer and it's going out into the abyss. And imagining somebody very specific can make your communication efforts more tangible. But the person that I like to think of, I think of actually a specific real person, but you want that person in your mind to be someone who's awesome, someone who's smart, someone who's curious, who's totally going to understand what you're explaining to them when you explain it well. The thing that they don't have potentially is they may not have an understanding of whatever your topic is. So as awesome and as smart and as curious as they are, they don't know this topic. So your job then is to find the right words, find the right points so that it becomes clear to them. Use that as your starting point. And the other thing that you can do is think about if there are 3 or 4 key highlights that let's say you were stuck in an elevator with that person and you had to explain by the time they're going to get off the elevator, what are those 3 or 4 highlighted points that they need to take away with them as they step off the elevator. And once you have those key points, then you can kind of fill in the contexts, fill in the details in whatever way is most appropriate, depending on whatever it is that you're writing. So if you're writing like a one-pager in order to brief your director, it's going to look, and the kinds of details that you're going to include is going to be a little bit different than if you have a full 10-page report. You're going to include different kinds of things. But coming to think about those 3 or 4 key highlights can help you really organize what it is that you need to say and how you can be direct about it. Really, it's kind of like you're doing an outline. Thank you for watching. I hope that the video was helpful to you. Feel free to do all of the things like subscribe, tell all your friends, and I will see you in the next video.